Welcome to Not Your Basic Brunettes, where we, Devin and Katie, dive into all things girly and beyond. From sharing TMI moments to navigating life's chaos with humor and vulnerability, we're here to create a safe space for moms, single ladies, entrepreneurs, and corporate girlies alike. Grab a drink, get comfy, and join us as we laugh, cry, and connect through all of life's moments. Now here are your hosts, Devin and Katie.
All right, well, welcome back to Not Your Basic Brunettes. We are going to discuss narcissistic behavior for this episode.
Yep.
Definitely excited to jump into this one.
Yeah. There's
I
a
l-
lot
I
of
l-
information.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said the other week when we were talking, and it's like narcissistic behavior or a person who's a narcissist is very thrown around like a pop word.
Yeah.
Very catchy, everybody's
Yeah.
using it. But we wanted to dive into
Actual.
an actual narcissist, what they are, what they do,
Yeah.
what's defined, and our experiences
Yeah,
with
because
them.
I mean, pop culture narcissist is someone that you just don't like for what they stand for, or if they've
Yeah,
been rude. It's like, no, that's
that's not
not
a
the case.
narcissist.
And you
Yeah.
can have narcissistic traits without being a narcissist too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a whole thing of like what actually is a narcissist.
Absolutely.
It's a personality disorder, not just
a
rude
a
person.
rude person
Yeah.
that you think everybody's a narcissist.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the actual meaning of a narcissist, guys. So the actual meaning of a narcissist is a person who has excessive interest and admiration in themselves.
hmm
Okay. Um, so to be kind of overlaying, they're overlyingly self-centered, crave attention and admiration, lack empathy of others, and often manipulate or exploit relationships in their personal gain.
Yeah. I mean, empathy is a big, big part of that because that's like the personality trait that like you just can't relate to other people on that level. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
you can like attention and also have empathy. It's like their world revolves around what they see and how they see it, and they don't understand how you don't see it the way that they see it. That's the
Correct.
big whole like empathy thing of like, I can't relate to you because I only see the world. It's like all toddlers are narcissists
Yeah.
because they
They
see
have
the
one
world,
view.
yeah, and that's okay for their developmental because they haven't had the
Right.
brain capacity, but some people just never get out of that. So it's
Correct.
like that's kind of the difference of someone who's self-centered versus like a
Yes.
narcissist.
A narcissist.
They can't relate on a deeper level.
Exactly. We'll look into the
There are also different types of
yes.
narcissists too. Like classic one that we all know is the overt narcissist, which is
Yes.
the flamboyant, the loud off dude that you know. I'm sure you know someone's dad that's like
Yes.
always the loudest in the room, always saying something, always kind of snarky. They kind of play like the class clown, or they kind of play
Yes.
like, oh, he's so funny, but it's like all the attention. And
Is
then
on
when you
them.
sit back and listen to what he's actually saying, you're like, that shit's actually kind of mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep.
so like they're basically energy vampires because they're
Absolutely.
taking their supply.
Yes. Think of it like some jocks in high school
Yeah.
that were like that. They were like the cool guy on campus and wanted all the attention, but they were assholes.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like, again, the lack of empathy of where
Yes.
like that is, or if, especially you could always tell if someone's a narcissist too, is like you kind of stand up or push against them
Hmm.
and they either kind of like put you down or try to
Absolutely.
like be better than you constantly instead of like, or they'll joke with you and be like, no, it's just a joke, just a
Yeah.
joke.
Just
And
a
it's
joke.
like,
And it's
okay,
like,
that
but it
was me.
wasn't a
Yeah.
joke. Yeah.
There's no like apology
Yeah.
afterwards.
And they don't apologize.
No.
It's always again like, oh, it's a joke. But
Yeah. Well, that's not what I meant. That's
yeah.
what I meant. That's the
That drives me
worst.
nuts.
Like, well, then what the fuck did you mean?
What did you mean? But then they
Please
won't
tell me.
clarify what they
Yeah.
actually meant because
You're
that's
too
what they really
sensitive.
meant. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You read into too much.
I'm in
Like,
with that. I'm
yeah.
into that. So big characteristics with narcissists and the key for narcissistic abuse that people
Mhm.
have experienced. We're looking at gaslighting, love bombing, and de- devaluation. Sorry, brain on, guys. It's the end of the day, and I have been in training videos all day. So my brain, if it's meh, it's just how it is. Control and manipulation, emotional withholding, and the silent treatment,
Mhm.
triangulation, projection, and smear campaigning.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I know a lot of us have had abusers in the past
Mhm.
for this. What is your experience with anybody that you've been involved with in your past that's with narcissistic behavior? What's your experience?
Yeah. Most of mine, going back to like the different classes that, we talked about the overt, but I've dealt with a lot of covert narcissists where
Mhm.
you don't realize they are until the damage has done.
Yeah.
And they kind of fly under the radar because they typically are like a wolf in sheep's
She's
clothing
fluency.
of like
Mhm.
usually the super nice guy, this sort of stuff. It's like they seem great at first, but then they're starting to, and women can be the same way, like starting to manipulate you or withdraw you from people, or, you kind of makes you question your reality constantly, which is a lot of what I dealt with in childhood and
Yeah.
past relationships too, of like, okay, well, am I the one seeing this wrong?
Mhm.
That's like the sneakiness of the covert, because it's like they seem like they have your best interest at heart,
Yeah.
but you walk away from the conversation more confused than you ever entered into it.
Yeah.
And you walk away feeling like it was your fault, that you needed to figure out something that changed something about you, or what happened was your causing of this.
Mhm.
Compared to an overt narcissist would be someone like the classic movies, the abuser, the man's always yelling,
Yeah.
violent, screaming, that sort of like
Right.
that sort of attention. So those are very different dynamics to deal with that
Right.
are not great in either one, but the
Yeah.
covert is so much harder to see because
Yes.
it's more of the subtle, quieter
Covert. Yeah.
manipulation, and it deals with, I think, a lot more of like emotional turmoil than like a
Absolutely.
physical.
Yes.
So what about you?
I would definitely say my narcissistic abuser was a covert, the
Mhm.
primarily one, which was with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
He would do the silent treatment for
Mhm.
weeks on end, pretend like I was completely not even there, even though we lived together, and he would
Yeah.
completely ignore me. Blame everything on me,
Mhm.
making it feel like it's always my fault. The triangulation of always saying he would love his son always more than me,
Mhm.
saying that it's my fault that he couldn't have more children because he knew that like I couldn't easily just get pregnant.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so in that verse, but like again, very covert, like nobody would know because he was a very silent type.
Yeah.
He whenever we were around our families or anything like that, like
Yeah.
never did any of those things. It was always in the silence of our own home.
Yeah, it's always, "Oh, he seems so nice. I don't know,"
Uh-huh.
and you're just
Yeah,
like, you're scanning the room because you're like, "This is a different version of what I get at home." He's
absolutely.
performing, in your case, he's just flying under the radar because he
Right.
doesn't wanna ruffle anybody's
Doesn't
feathers.
rather ruffle
Yeah.
feathers, but when it was ever I would home, always feeling so awful about myself
Mhm.
that eventually it led to divorce because I felt like I said at the end, I was like,
Yeah.
I want to hurt myself because
Yeah.
I can't take it anymore.
Yeah. Because deep down, like, narcissists hate themselves. Like, that's
Correct.
the core belief that they are. So anything, the projections or whatever, it's them against the world because they don't like themselves so much, so
Hmm.
they have to put on this personality disorder, in order to make themselves feel lovable to everybody else around. So
Yes.
that's why they, the energy vampires, that's why they take supply and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And when I were talking about like taking supply, it's the emotional supply, it's the attention, it's the validation that they get from you, and the
Hmm.
attention and the self-soothing that you give them,
Hmm.
compared to them being able to do it themselves, because again they lack that empathy and self-awareness and
Yes.
self-love, essentially, to
Yeah.
provide for themselves.
Absolutely. I want to dive into as well, like how are people raised this way?
Mhm.
Like what initially happens in their childhood to make them turn into a narcissistic person?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of it is like because you had a narcissistic
Parent.
parent,
Yeah,
and it goes down to like if you go back into a lot of narcissistic past, it's a lot of abuse, a certain type of
absolutely.
abuse has happened. And also growing up in a family where there was a narcissistic parent figure, your brain kind of gets muddled up because you start to take on some of their traits because of the survival mechanism, and you
Hmm.
come out thinking I'm the narcissist because of this way, but that's just like you kind of like shedding off of the learned patterns. It's kind of like the nature versus nurture
Nurture. Hmm.
situation. And most narcissists aren't sitting around wondering
Yeah.
if they're a narcissist.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
True that. Yeah, I definitely would say it would have stemmed from my ex-husband's like childhood.
yeah.
Unfortunately, he had life kind of hard coming from Mexico.
Hmm.
His parents both ditched him.
Hmm.
His dad was a drunk, and constantly was like running off.
Yeah.
His mom literally left him in Mexico to come to America.
Yeah.
To again, kind of take care of herself. Like left him down there. His aunt eventually like brought him up here, but she didn't end up taking him. to
Mhm.
take care of him. So he was kind of like bouncing around from home to home in different situations. Which is frustrating,
Yeah.
because it's like I understand that you've had a lot of things to deal with and you've had a
Yeah.
lot of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was never a person to ever go to therapy or talk to somebody that was,
Yeah.
you know.
I feel like that's a big thing too
Yes.
of like, oh, I don't need to go to therapy because I don't have problems. I can fix it myself, this sort of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And if you talk to therapists, you have to go, like a narcissist has to be in therapy for a very long
Long
time
time.
for them to even say that you are a narcissist
Right.
because they're so good at
Mimicking and
mimicking
imitating.
and
Mhm.
mirroring and telling the right things and putting on the show and kind of reading people's personality and adapting to it in a way that like takes from them and kind of
Absolutely.
like gets them on their side. And everybody knows a person like that. They're like,
Yes.
okay, you've just morphed into a different person because
Mhm.
who you're around. And
Absolutely.
they can even fool professionals because of just how
Absolutely.
good they are at spinning a situation and a story, which is really frustrating when you're in it on the other side and you're just like, that's not how things happen.
Right.
And but you can't
Exactly.
say anything because then you're gonna be gaslit.
Right.
And I think that's something else we could talk about. Is like gaslit is such a huge term
Oh,
nowadays. Everybody's like,
it's
gaslight
such
me,
a pop
gaslight me. I'm
word
like,
too. It's
you're
such a
not
pop word.
you're not
Everybody's using it.
yeah, you're not gaslit when someone shares their opinion and you
Right.
don't agree with it.
Right.
That's just called a difference of
It's a
opinion.
difference of opinion, guys.
That's not, they could say, "Hey, I don't think you're right." And they're like, "Oh, they're gaslighting me." It's like, no,
No
they're sharing their opinion.
opinion, and that's how it works.
Yeah, like true gaslighting is a mental and emotional manipulation in order to put you down further so
Correct.
they can be up. It's a control mechanism.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah, so diving into that too, like I was like you were saying with psychiatrists, it takes a while for
yeah,
them to actually get diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. If they're not showing, certain things within their therapy
yeah,
sessions, like grandiose sense of self-importance, preoccupation of fantasies, belief that they're special or unique,
mm,
like things like that. It's hard to get someone with a narcissistic behavior because they're almost two-faced.
yeah,
And that's how a lot of them fly under the radar and never get an actual diagnosis, never get told to these behaviors have to change or to correct them.
yeah,
And then it just continues to keep getting passed on by generation to generation because of what they're doing to their children or what they're
yeah,
going on in that. And unfortunately, until we break that generational cycle, it's going
yeah,
to continue on with having more narcissistic people in the
yeah,
world.
yeah. And coming from experience of like being in a couples counseling with covert narcissist, it's very frustrating because you end up feeling like the narcissist yourself because you're like,
Yes.
he's saying all the right things. He's agreeing. He's making logical sense. But I'm over here questioning my reality because I'm like, okay, I would say so many times, like, I wish we had a camera in the room
Yes.
when things went
Oh,
down.
yeah,
It's
for
like,
sure.
so I could rewind and say, hey, I'm not crazy. Even in childhood, like, I'd be like, this happened. Mom would be like, no, that's
No,
not what I remembered. It's like, okay, well, mom knows best. And then you look back, you're like, wait a
no.
minute. She was changing the narrative to
Yes,
fit whatever made her most comfortable. Because, like, if you
absolutely.
make a narcissist uncomfortable, they're going to change the narrative to
Narrative.
make it comfortable for them or have the upper hand. So, like,
Yes,
dealing with that in a certain situation is a mind
yes.
fuck.
And unfortunately, with people who receive the end of narcissistic abuse, we end up with a lot of trauma and a lot of
Hmm.
things that we have to deal with, like anxiety and depression,
Yeah.
PTSD, um, what do you call it? Emotional numbness, hypervigilance,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, it takes many, many years to like get over those things. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm still in therapy.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it comes from like, like people pleasing stuff too, of just like,
Yes.
that goes with like the hypervigilance. It's like, okay, I'm monitoring this person's footsteps. I'm monitoring
Yeah.
the mood when they walk in the door. How can I diffuse the situation? How can I make it better so I don't feel like I'm going to get in trouble? That
Yeah.
was like what my abuse was like. I feel like I'm going to cause a problem or I'm going to get in
Yeah.
trouble for something that I've done or haven't done.
Yes.
Or, a lot was like the mental abuse of like, you have anxiety. You need to figure out you're the villain. You're the one that has
Yeah.
the problems. I'm fine, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, am I?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I have these problems, so you're not wrong, but like, where is it coming from? And that's not a
Hmm.
supportive, empathetic way of, hey, how can I help you? How can I be with you? This really sucks. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be there with you. It's like, well, you should do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need a fucking list.
Yeah.
And you walk away and you're like, I guess I got more stuff to
To
do and more
do.
stuff to work on for myself because it's just me and my problems.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I definitely feel that. Like mine was definitely feeling very I was isolated from my family,
Yeah,
like with him.
it's a big one.
Because he always felt like, like they didn't like him and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
So like whenever I would like go to my parents' house, which was usually most weekends, I would like we
Yeah,
lived there, so it was like I would go over on Sundays usually and like
yeah,
have dinner, do something. But I always felt like I had to like rush back,
yeah.
like
And that
to come
happens
back
so
to the home with
subtly too, you
him.
don't realize
You
that
don't
they're
realize,
pulling you
yeah,
away. Yeah.
but constantly. But even if he came with me, he wouldn't like hardly speak to anybody. He'd like come
Hmm.
in and say hi, and then he would go to another room and just like be on his phone.
Yeah, but like waiting for someone
But
to notice
waiting
that
for
he was
someone to
gone. Yeah,
notice so that you would hurry the hell up and get out of there so
yeah.
that we can leave.
Or go over and be like, "Everything okay?" And they're like, "No, it's fine." Yeah, that
He
would
wouldn't
happen
even
to
say
me.
anything. It was
Yeah.
just like dead silence. So you're
Ugh.
constantly feeling like you're rushing to get out of there to make it back so that he doesn't get mad or he
Well, it's
doesn't
also like
cause a
you're
fight.
probably overcompensating for your family, like hiding
Yes.
his behavior
Constantly.
or making excuses. I did that for so long, and then finally, and then I was like, "And this is actually what happens." Everybody's like, "Oh,"
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like,
You're like,
"Yeah,
yes.
like I was hiding all of this behavior and overcompensating, or basically making up stories to
Yes.
like cover what was going on, and
Yeah. And
that's a
that was
big
me
opener."
too.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't want to come over to your family's and certain things. So like whenever he wouldn't show up for holidays or something, I'd be like, oh, he had to work
Yeah,
or he had
sick.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
like didn't feel well or whatever. And it was like actually he's just at home fucking sitting on the couch
Yeah.
watching TV.
Yeah, because the isolation part is big too because it happens so subtly of like
Hmm.
not wanting to be around your family because that's like their whole ploy is to like
Right.
get you alone,
Alone.
disconnect you from your social circle. And I didn't realize it back at the time too. It's like I had my group of friends, and slowly and slowly and slowly,
Yeah.
I was no longer hanging out with my friends because they were
Hmm.
younger. They're doing this sort of stuff and morphed into hanging out with his friends and
Yep.
his family and this sort of stuff. And like at the time, it's like, oh, like I like his friends, like I want
Yeah.
to be a part. But then it's like, well, why don't you come and hang out with my friends? Like, oh, they're
Yes.
younger. I don't want to do
I
that
don't
sort
want
of
to do that.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so then you were like, well, I want you to come along because you're my partner,
Right.
but yet you don't want to be there. And then I
Right.
have to like make this situation awkward.
Awkward. Or if you go with your friends and it's like, well, why isn't so and so
Yeah.
with you? And then you're
I'm
like
like,
making more
well,
excuses and
yeah. And then even like when we, married and stuff like that, it was just like I would go and try to make friends. They never would.
yeah.
But yet when we would bring them around, everybody was friendly with them.
Oh
Everybody
yeah.
loved, like, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but at home you didn't try
Do any of
any of
that.
that. That was a
Yeah.
big thing too, is like your home life and your outside life is very,
Very
very,
different.
very different.
Yeah.
Whether it's the physical abuse or like we said, the mental abuse, or just like you get a different person
Person.
completely. And that's really
Absolutely.
hard to explain to people that like, oh, but he's so great, like so blah. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't get that version.
I don't get that version.
Yeah.
I don't get that. And like everybody would always think my ex was like, oh, he just seems really nice. He's kind
Yeah.
of quiet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, to your face.
Yeah. There's a lot
But
of
this
shit
is what
going
I
on.
was dealing with when I'm at home. And then when I
Yeah.
explained everything, like my mom never really liked him in
Hmm.
general, just because of like noticing like the whole like family disconnection,
Yeah.
not joining in, blah blah blah. And then like when I finally like let it all out, it's like that son of a bitch.
I knew it.
I knew it. I hate him.
See, mine was more like, oh, we like shocked at
Had
like
no
this sort of
idea.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was always so good at explaining and this sort of stuff and like rationalizing it and the storytelling that these people have the ability to do, which
Yeah.
is so frustrating because like I'm a terrible storyteller, but like I tell all the details that are unnecessary. Like
Yeah.
I follow like I have a
To
detail.
like get to the point of it at the end of the story.
Like this is backstory that needs to happen.
It has
Like
to happen first so you understand the story.
yeah,
Me.
like my big thing is like I
Yeah.
like honesty, and then when you're listening to them share a story, you're over in the background and be like, that didn't
That didn't
happen.
happen.
You didn't say
Yep.
that. I didn't say
Yep.
that. But when if you approach it and say, hey, that didn't happen, they're like, you're remembering it wrong.
Wrong. That's not the way I saw
I
it.
hated that.
Yeah. You're like,
That's
am
not what
I?
happened, or that's not what I meant to say. That's not, you took it wrong. It's
Uh-huh.
that sort of, that's gaslighting and
Yeah.
saying like, oh, you questioning your reality. Like, no, I'm pretty sure you said that.
Yeah.
But you won't admit to
Into
it.
it. And not in
Or
front of people
you're
either.
being
For
too
sure.
sensitive about it. You're
Yep.
overreacting on something, and it's like, no, I'm not. I'm reacting in a relatively reasonable
Your
manner.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is normal.
yeah.
This is how you're supposed to react.
It should be, yeah, like no,
This is how you're supposed to react.
yeah.
So what are you doing for yourself in regards for your narcissistic abuse that you're having to like move through and deal with? Like
Mhm.
what works best for you and like your strategy? Like what would you like give advice to people who are dealing with it or just recently left a narcissist,
Yeah.
things of that nature?
I mean, number one thing is you're not crazy. You were
Yes.
right in the situation. you're not making things up. Because I still go through that in my mind all the time of like, oh, maybe I was really in the wrong, like even coming back. And it's like, no, you got to stick to your truth because everybody deserves to have their own experience of what it
Mhm.
is. And the biggest thing too is just like the no, either if you can go no contact, go no contact.
Yep.
Some of us can't do that, but it's just like disconnect your emotions 100%. That's
Yep.
what I've had to do.
Yep.
And just like stuff still gets under my skin because it's just like that learned like pattern of like, oh, I
Mhm.
know your motive behind it, and people will
Right.
see it as it's like, oh, it's
Always
not what,
seems
yeah.
so
And I'm
nice.
just
And you're
like,
like, no, you're
ugh.
not.
You have that. I have that sense in my body where it's like, okay, you're nice. Big thing too is they're nice 1 minute,
Yep.
and then they're not.
Not. Yeah.
It's like, okay, well then who are you getting your supply from when you're nice to me?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you get it from somebody else, so you can give two shits about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So I know there's like a big whole theme of like what they call like the gray rock theory
Mhm.
is like how to really like kind of like piss off a narcissist, especially
Okay.
like an overt
Tell
one.
me more. Tell me
It's
more.
basically, like I said, just disconnecting any sort of emotion from it. When they try to get a rise out of you from fighting or poking you or
Mhm.
trying to say something, just either don't react or just, okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're getting. Like, that's
They're
what they
trying to
want.
get a rise out
They
of
want
you.
the emotional reaction out of you to make themselves feel better. So it's basically
Mhm.
just like, okay,
Yeah.
don't acknowledge anything they say. Don't fight it. Don't say yes or no. Just, okay.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feed them any sort of attention,
Yeah.
they're not going to keep coming back to you.
Yeah.
So, like, I've had to do that a few times too. And it's really hard when you're like,
Yeah.
I'm
You're
gonna
like,
fight for justice.
but you're like,
You're like, okay, yep.
so you take a happy pill.
Have an outlet somewhere else. Yeah, and especially from like coming from like a covert narcissist abuse, it's like just checking your reality and like really getting in tune with your own like gut feelings and like
Mhm.
coming back to that because you spent so much time questioning
Right.
your reality,
Right.
and that's hard. And like trusting yourself again and your choices and
Mhm.
saying, okay, even if this is the wrong choice for me, like it was the right choice at this time,
Mhm.
and I'll figure it out. Like people pleasing is just,
Yeah.
it's hard.
It's hard. That's a hard one to break. Generational
Yeah.
people pleasing is very hard to break.
Yeah. But
But you could do what my sister does. She cracks me up. I told you what she told me.
What?
Whenever you have somebody that's trying to like batter you or do things or like they're upset, they're mad or whatever, just talk to them like they're 5. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry you feel that way. You
Yeah.
want to talk about it? And then they don't know what to do. They're just
Yeah.
like,
Mhm. Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Circle time.
Circle time. Because they don't know what to do with that
Yeah.
reaction. They're like, you're not mad, but you're not reacting to me,
Yeah.
but I don't know what to do. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's like a dog when you're like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. You didn't have a treat in your hand and I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Every time you give me a treat, now you pulled it away.
Oh, you pulled it away. God damn it.
Yeah. Because it's so hard, especially like if you have like I don't want to say combative personality in a bad way, but you've had to fight for yourself for so long.
Yeah.
When someone says that, that's just like your initial reaction to be like, mine was always like, you end up over explaining everything.
Yeah.
Also ties in with ADHD, but like
Yes.
over explaining something.
Me.
So you're like, yeah, crossing all your T's and dotting your I's and making sure you have all the information correct. So they can't come at you with any sort of like, well, here's a hole that you missed. You're like,
Yeah. No.
that sort of stuff. And it's like, you shouldn't have to do that constantly.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely. I would say for like recovering and healing from a narcissist, just from my personal experience, um, first, the education portion is very vital.
Mhm.
Obviously, if you're attending, I do recommend therapy for anybody. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea,
Yeah.
and not everybody wants to do therapy or
Like
really
once a
believes in
month,
it.
yeah.
But I believe like at least maybe try it a couple times.
Yeah.
At least talking to somebody and talking it out, and then with their education again in mental disorders to help you understand what a narcissist is and the behavior
Mhm.
sometimes is eye-opening for a lot of
Yeah.
people when they don't realize, oh shit, like I wasn't a narcissistic relationship or oh like
Yeah.
just not a controlling relationship or just
Yeah.
something, in that general kind of set. Definitely boundaries.
Yeah.
I know like you're trying to set boundaries. Was very I was more in a lucky situation. I was able to completely cut ties
Yeah.
immediately and block all like family members too. So I had no contact. No contact is another one I would always recommend, or
Yeah.
low contact as much as possible. Dealing with that will help you heal internally
Yeah.
and also mentally, physically, emotionally,
You
because you
literally have to
have to get away.
detach. Yeah,
You
your
have
nervous
to get
system
away.
remembers So like even
Yes.
when you're around that person, that nervous system just snaps right back into
Yeah,
place. Yeah.
exactly. And I always catch myself still doing those things even today. Like I
Yeah.
don't need to. My husband is never like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, "I'm on my way home. I had to do this." And, da, da, da. And it's like,
Yeah.
but I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
He'd be
That's
like,
another thing too. I
he's like,
forgot about.
"Okay, cool. I'll see you
Yeah.
home."
Checking where you are all the time.
Yeah. Oh, all the
I'll
time.
get that calls like, just wondering where you were. I
Yeah.
told you when are you
Where I
going to be
was going.
back? It seems so innocent, but it's like, oh, I don't call you when you're out.
Yeah.
'Cause you
Oh,
said you're
mine
out.
was tracking me through my phone.
Yeah.
And I
That's
didn't
wild.
know that for many, many
Yeah.
years.
Consent, please.
Yeah, I did know that for many, many years. My ex-husband was logging into my Apple ID, and literally going through my entire phone, monitoring where I
Mhm.
was, what I was doing, every person I talked to, every text message, every phone call,
Mhm.
every social media site, every picture I posted,
It's
every
wild.
single thing. Um, and which was dumb because then he would like call me too and be like, "Where?" And I'm like, I'm at the gym. Like
You can see me
know
where I'm at.
where? Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
But
I'm
like
like,
he
"I
could.
told you I
Yeah.
was going to the gym after work today," or
Yeah.
like something like that. And it's like, so I don't understand why you're questioning me because if more than likely you're looking at me right now.
Yeah. Were you trying to
But
catch me in a lie, bro?
yeah,
Like.
exactly. And I'm like, I literally, and like you can hear the weights like
Yeah.
clanging behind me, like just random things like that. And that's another thing. It's like, do not share any of your login information with anybody until you're in
Yeah.
some kind of,
Well, it's
manageable relationship.
even like with my situation, it was like, okay, I would go through their phone, this sort of stuff, because I would just kind of get that like intuitive hit, like line involved.
Uh huh.
But then you would approach them with it, and there's like, well, if you go looking for something, you'll find
Find
something.
something. Yeah,
Talking to my therapist about that, she's like, well, you did.
you did.
Like, if there wasn't anything to find, you wouldn't have
Right.
found
In
it.
which you found multiple things,
Yeah.
which we
So,
talked about. I'm like, ah, excuse me,
yeah.
sir.
So it's like that's another form of gaslighting too. Of like, well, that was your mistake. You went looking for that. You're gonna find it. It's like,
Hmm.
no, you did that.
You did that and didn't be honest about it. Tell me.
Accountability, man. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing too. It's like they never take accountability for anything that they do,
Nope.
and that drives me nuts. It's like, okay, self awareness at least,
Yep.
but they'll tell everybody else that they're super self aware and
Yeah.
like all this sort of stuff. The accountability part is
The most frustrating
trigger
portion. Yeah. I always hated it when they made me feel like I was crazy.
Yeah,
Like, and just make me feel like the lowest point of my life at rock bottom.
yeah.
Like,
Well, then so many people in relationships too, specifically probably more of like a male female relationship. It's like the females get so used to putting on this show for everybody else. So
mhm.
you're from the outside in, you're this happy couple, super, great guy, got a big personality, like
Yeah.
she's a lucky woman, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, I'm
No.
playing this part
Yep.
because he's gonna be playing this part. So I'm gonna
I
have
have
to
to do the same
yeah,
thing, mirror it.
yeah,
Because if not, I'm going to get it when I get home
yeah,
or when we're alone.
yeah. Or just loneliness because
Yeah.
it's the isolation.
Yep.
Because like they've gotten their stuff from outside world, come
Yep.
home, they don't need you
Yep.
until they need you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel
And
that.
so like a big thing too with like my question was always like, what is it about my personality that attracts narcissistic people? And
Hmm.
it's like ADHD plays into a big part of it too, because we could tie it into like love bombing too, because a lot of people when they have ADHD come on really strong because it's that
Yep.
dopamine rush. And so the narcissists like that
Yeah.
because they're getting that instant
Instant.
supply.
Yep.
But then once the tables start turning and leveling out where the dopamine kind of goes down, they've already hooked you. They've
Yeah.
already got their claws in you of like, okay. And like the difference between like love bombing and someone who's actually genuinely interested in you and like saying nice things is like love bombing comes with a cost.
Yeah.
Like it happens very fast out of nowhere and it feels uncomfortable. And if you kind of like aren't matching them,
Yeah.
they'll pull back
Yep.
and use a manipulation
Manipulation.
trick, whether
Yeah.
it's you don't like me or I'm just gonna go away. Like that sort of like
Yeah.
baby talk
Yeah.
shit. Like if you were someone that was dating someone that's like, hey, this is a bit strong for me, and they're like, okay, I
That's fine.
totally thank you for
Understand.
like
Yeah.
appreciate it. I'll tone it
Thanks for the
down. Like
communication.
yeah, like I'm just really into you. I'm trying to express that. Narcissist would be like, why don't you like me? I'm doing all
Yeah.
this sort of stuff. It's always your problem. So
Problem.
like that's the difference between love bombing because people are like, oh my god, he's love bombing me as a narcissist. It's like, or are they just interested
Interested
in
in
you and you
you.
don't feel comfortable with it yet?
Right. Exactly. Most people in a mature relationship are willing to talk about their feelings and how things are going without getting upset or
Yeah.
frustrated with the situation. If
Yeah.
they're really wanting a mature and adult conversation, they will
Yeah.
meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with any other kind of act, then you're dealing with another narcissist for that.
Yeah. And I guess it gets kind of convoluted too, because you could probably mistake like a emotionally unavailable person for a narcissist too.
True.
But I feel like an unavailable person would probably ghost you before they would
Yeah.
like kind of come
React.
after you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I don't
They're
think
like,
I don't
I'm just not going to text her for
Yeah,
3 or 4 days,
yeah.
and hopefully she just goes away.
Yeah. A narcissist won't do that until they know that they have you. And then
Yeah.
that's when it becomes like, I've been in relationships where they're like so smothering and blah, blah, blah. And it gives you the ick. And then it's like, they turn it right back on you. Like, well,
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't love me enough. I'm like,
Well, you don't like me. I was
mean,
trying to give you all this
yeah,
loving and
I've done
buy you
everything.
flowers.
Oh,
And
one of my exes, my coworkers used to make fun of me for, because he would just say, just be sweet.
Ew.
That became their mean not mean,
I'm
but
sorry.
like catchphrase at
That's
work. They're like,
creepy.
Devin, just be sweet. I'm like, fuck off. Oh, I hate that. Like, just
Nope.
be sweet. I'm like, what does that even mean?
That's like telling a girl you should smile more.
Yeah.
No.
Like, what am I supposed to be, this like little meek little person that's always
Gross.
happily and bubbly?
Gross.
Wrong person.
Gross. Wrong person. She's, guys, Scorpio. Different personality traits.
Just be sweet. It was like, ugh, it gave it to the core. And it was funny because I would drive to work like years later and there's a sign that said, just be nice. Like, I don't think like anything with just in front of it. Like,
yeah.
No.
No.
Nope.
Nope. Not okay with it. Gross. It's like when people have like, what do you call it? Aversions to certain words. Like we had a coworker.
Moist.
Moist. Sorry, Lauren, if you're listening, it's moist.
Moist. A lot
She
of people
hates
don't like
the
that
word
word. Christy. I don't know.
I hate the word moist.
Well, you have a good note here. Any particular zodiac signs?
So my ex-husband was a Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the boyfriend before that because he was a what do you call it? Like an extrovert narcissist.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was very manipulative, very abusive, physically abusive too. But always blaming it on me.
Yeah.
And I can't remember his sign, but like I know I feel like certain signs almost have some narcissistic tendencies or behaviors because of their sign and their personalities. But what are your thoughts?
You have a hard time because I'm thinking about the people that I know and they're all different. I don't know, their moon and rising might be different.
Right.
I don't
we
know.
have to go through this horoscope thing. I need a tarot card reader and someone's astrology stat.
Right. I feel like it'd be easy to blame like an overt narcissist as being like a Leo, because they're big and loud. But
hey, I'm a Leo.
I know. But then it's like the same thing with Scorpio. I could be a covert narcissist because you're deep in feeling and have the tendency to be labeled as the manipulators, but we're not.
Yeah.
We just know emotion. So that's a hard one. That would be interesting.
It's a hard one. It would be an interesting study to do almost.
Yeah.
Just because again, I feel like some signs have more tendencies to have that kind of trait.
Yeah. I wouldn't say like a Virgo would ever be one because they're like a little bit more, I don't want to say meek in a bad way, but they're a lot more, I would say they're more of the people pleaser type.
Yeah.
A Taurus makes sense because they're
bullheaded, they're got horns and they want to fight. Like it's just what it is. It's cause an issue, which is hilarious because my son's a Taurus. So
I can see like an Aquarius because they're so like non-committal and like
kind
of like super airy sign. So they're just like, I'm going to do what I
free.
want. And I don't want to be attached to anybody. That sort of stuff. Yeah. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
It would be an interesting study to do. I bet you there's some information about it, but
to Google.
No, guys, we will get some clinical information. We don't just pull words from social media or Instagram or all that kind of stuff just to get clout. Okay.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about this, like how when you've gone through narcissistic abuse, you end up thinking that you're the narcissist.
Yep.
Because of the way your brain has been trained. Like I've thought that many of times, like maybe I'm the one that was the narcissist. And there was like, you're asking these questions and self-reflecting.
Yeah.
No.
Like narcissists don't do that.
No.
They don't self-reflect.
That's a hard part of healing too, because you're like, maybe it was me. Maybe I did read the situation wrong. Like,
nope.
Any sort of like self-care or self-thought or self-appreciation of yourself that immediately makes you feel like you're the narcissist because you've been trained to be the below everybody else for so long. So anytime you feel good about yourself, you're like, oh, I don't want to seem overly boisterous and overly like confident because I don't want people to think I'm a narcissist. It's like, no, you can love yourself and have confidence,
Yeah.
but still have empathy.
Yes.
Because it goes back to empathy. It's like that's that main puzzle.
Basil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the narcissists do not have empathy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I got a lot of it.
I almost cried on the way over here because
Damn
I was
it.
like thinking of a song, and then my dog, I was like, ah,
I know.
you know.
See, I feel that. And I was in a therapy appointment right before this, and I'm like, ugh.
A week.
Father's Day was awful.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any in your like direct family that you know of?
Narcissist?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of close family. Like I have my brother and my sister, but it's just that, like I don't have any like extended family that I would know for sure, just because we're not like super close with everybody. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, my mom's dad he had a lot of personality disorders, but yeah, definitely a big narcissist too.
Yeah.
Yeah, some uncles I would say maybe. Yeah, it's and then it's just hard because it's like, okay, this uncle's loud and boisterous and this sort of stuff. I don't want to label him as that because I don't know him to that level.
Yeah.
So it's like you just don't want to throw around that word.
Right.
So we were talking about this before too, of like a lot of autistic people can come across as narcissistic
Yes.
because in a lot of autism, it's like they know a lot of facts. And that's a big thing too of these facts, these stories. That was one that pissed me off, like pulling facts out of their asses. I'm like, and people believe you about this shit? I'm like, you just made that up. And people are like, oh my God, I didn't know that. I'm over the background like, that does not true.
Doesn't exist.
Like, I'm also like, maybe talking about my job. I'm like, it's my job. I don't want to, like, I'm an expert in this. You're not. Like, that's the thing. But like, autism usually they've done their work to do that. So like, people think that's the case when they come over and like just correct you with no emotion. And it's like, no, that's just part of the autism and they're not narcissistic.
Right.
So there's other traits, because most autistic people aren't going to walk into a room and be like, hey, like it's super out there.
Unless you talk about a subject that they're very interested in. Then they'll be like, oh,
yeah.
Like that, what do you call it? That TikTok sound. Are you talking about Marie Antoinette?
Oh, yeah, when they climb over the
I know a thing about her. Is this you taking?
Yeah.
Then that's when they're like, now I'm an extrovert or I want to talk to you because you're talking about something that they're interested in or are an expert in.
Yeah, and a big thing about narcissists too is you can share your greatest achievements and they will one-up you.
They will one-up you or be like, well, good for you. I guess I'm just not good enough. And it's like.
Or not even pay attention or that sort of stuff. It's just because it doesn't revolve around them and their success. Like my stuff would always be like, oh, I'm creating this YouTube channel. I'm doing this. They would try to piggyback on to, I want to help you. I'm like, no, you want the attention. And you don't like the fact that I'm getting it and you weren't involved.
Correct.
And then he would, try to explain to people like what I'm doing. I'm like, you
know what I do.
You weren't even around. This is happening. Like, I did all this. I did the editing. I taught myself this. I did all of this. Like, you had nothing to do with that. And that's so frustrating too, because it's like, then you don't feel like you can be proud of yourself for anything by yourself.
Absolutely.
Someone else has to be involved.
I would never tell my exes like certain, like if I like got a good day at work or something, just like showboating for me because it was like, we're either going to start a fight or it's going to be, well, why are you trying to impress people at work? Who else are you trying to impress? And it's like, but that's not, it's for me. It's for my self-confidence. It's because I want to do a good job because I want to do this, not because I want to show someone else.
Yeah, they don't
to
understand
impress
that.
someone, and they don't understand that.
Yeah.
But if they go out and do it, different story.
Oh, yeah. So many times, like, he would try to better himself for other people than me. And that's the part where it's like home life versus regular life.
Yes.
Like, oh, you look like you're doing all these things when you come home. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And it's, you have a part in here. Like, what do you think, like, we're doing for the next generation to, like, phase it out? I don't know if phase it out's the right word, but.
Honestly, there's so much generational like trauma and abuse that we as millennial parents are having to deal with and correct ourselves so that we don't do it to our children.
Yeah.
That I feel there's so much knowledge and forms of that things that we've seen that we don't want to become that we are now changing the motive in the generation coming next.
Doing the work.
Doing the work. And unfortunately, it sucks because
God.
doing the trauma work to unbuild what you didn't build them up. It's really hard.
Well, yeah, and it's not even like they say you carry like generations of trauma
Yes.
within one person. So you're not even just healing your
You're
trauma from your
healing
parents. It's
generation
like
after
boom, boom,
generation.
boom,
Yeah,
boom.
especially however far back the abuse goes.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in
Some
my
tough work.
family, yeah, it was a lot. And it was
Yeah.
a lot of angry
Yeah.
abuse, possible bipolar that
Yeah.
no one was diagnosed with.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like I said, I have those yelling fits, and it's hard to refrain from doing the things you're doing. Because
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want them to grow up that way.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
Yeah. You're also like human too. Like you, like,
Yeah.
that's the hard thing too of like learning, because they're like, oh, you got to regulate your kids. It's like, yeah, but I'm not fucking regulated.
I'm not
myself.
regulated. I am not regulated. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry because we had to regulate ourselves as kids
Yeah.
growing up.
We had to regulate our
Our
parents.
unregulated parents.
Yeah.
And let alone now I got to regulate still.
Yeah.
And I got uncontrollable, unregulated kids. So this is great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I was talking to my mom about that, and of course, it's always different experience from
Oh,
what
absolutely.
she said.
Yeah.
I did this, and I'm sitting back there like,
Did you?
gloss over that one. 'Cause
Have a
I'm
glass
just
of
gonna
wine
move-
with
yeah.
this one.
yeah, I'm not gonna battle against that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's holding on to your truth of your reality is I feel like the hardest part because that's the part where you feel like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And then you have these bursts of like emotion that comes out, and then people are like, "Ooh,
Like,
maybe I'm crazy."
oh, like maybe I had a little.
But it's okay.
I'm okay.
Like you're allowed to be angry. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. Like don't go beat up somebody. But
Exactly. Right. But there are times when there's a time and a place where you are allowed to let your feelings out and just get it out. Like it's worse holding it in because then that's when you erupt. Like you gotta
Yeah.
take care of yourself.
Yeah, and there's so much like I forget she's an Indian lady that she's on YouTube is like one of the world top whatever the scientist
Mhm.
therapist of narcissists, and she has a lot of good like resources and YouTube videos. If like you
Okay.
just like go Google like narcissist on YouTube and she'll pop up. I forget her name. But if you have like any questions or thinking that you might be in a relationship like that, like
Narcissist,
look it up, talk to somebody about it,
Yeah.
or do the research yourself. Because I never thought I was until like my last year when someone put that thought into my head.
Yeah. Who put
Yeah.
that thought in your head?
Therapist.
Oh.
It's like, yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like kind of clicked because I didn't know about a covert narcissist.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
know about that.
Yeah.
It was always the overt that was the loud. I'm like, it's not like that
Yeah.
though.
But you're like, but there are two different
Yeah, I
sides.
think
Just like
there's-
there's two faces, there's two
Yeah.
narcissists. So
yeah. So they show it very differently. So
yes.
I mean, if you have any questions or like thinking that you are like,
Yeah.
look it up.
Look
Because you
it up.
probably are in a relationship
For
like
sure.
that.
Absolutely. I also feel like social media and like the internet is definitely helping a lot of people realizing like certain situations. Because like when I was in my marriage, like it was still kind of like just like Facebook and barely
Yeah.
Instagram coming out there. So it wasn't like as much like information. And I feel like now that we're so all over the World Wide Web that's like, you come across a lot more things that they're like, oh, well, maybe.
Yeah. Just let the
Possibly.
algorithm pick it up and I'll show you all
exactly,
this stuff.
exactly. When you type or looking for something, it will supply. It
Yeah.
will supply, which is great.
Until it gets too much. And then you're like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
And then
Give me
you're
the
like,
cat
I need to
videos."
deactivate my account for like 10 minutes. Okay?
No, that's
You
what
don't
I
even
did
know.
for like a month and it still came back with the same shit. I was like, come on.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
we're waiting for you.
yeah. That's when you start typing in the search bar like cat videos and all that kind of stuff, and starts
Oh, yeah.
changing your algorithm. You just gotta keep typing.
I know. I'm newer to TikTok, so it's like either one video that I like, they're like, oh, we're going to send you
You're
all of
gonna
them now.
photobomb.
I'm like,
Yeah,
"It's
yeah.
too much. And I'm
Me.
like, yeah.
That's why I always look up like things that we need, like whenever we're like doing our hair. It's like hair formulas, and it's like bam, 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 bam,
Yeah.
bam. like
Like, you
great.
try to sell me the stupid thermal brush one more
I
time.
know.
I swear to God.
I can't stand the what do you call it? The shopping, the bags, this and that, the lash girl. Like it's a constant like
I get the hair products, and then I get these like shirts that have like the built-in bra.
nice.
I'm like, that's nice, but like,
How many of these can I buy?
yeah. And then it was like that Halara butt lifting leggings for a long time. I was like, oh my God, every single one. Like,
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
stop. What are you trying to say?
Right. I'm sorry, I have a mom butt. Rude. Rude.
Like also like false advertisement.
Yeah. Also, guys, we just wanted to get you guys aware. We are going to start a cancer fund. We have a runner going to do the Golden Gate Bridge marathon, raising awareness for Cancer Foundation. We are going to start posting that on our websites, on our Instagram, social media accounts, TikTok, the whole bang. Our runner is going to run the marathon in November. So we're trying to raise some funds. We're gonna like make some T-shirts and stickers. If you don't want swag, then you can donate.
Yeah.
Just to the Cancer Society if that's what you want to do. Be more anonymous in that way. Totally get it. Totally fine. But we are gonna post those out so that there is a link that you can click on and help out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll blast you with it when it's ready.
Absolutely, because cancer gives you the ick. That's what happens.
Trademark.
Not too crazy for nuts. Has to have all those like things on it.
Yeah. Copyrighted in 2025.
That's right.
All rights reserved.
That's right. All rights reserved, guys. We're making shirts. We're making T-shirts. Making swag. It's gonna have cancer gives you the ick. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up for the evening.
Yeah.
We honestly don't know what we're gonna do next for our next episode, as this usually happens.
I just thought of like the Dr. Dre in the next episode.
To the next episode. Yeah, so please don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, whatever platform that you love the most. Please click follow, share with your friends, share with your mom, all the good stuff.
Hide your kids, hide the wife.
Right. Hide your kids, hide your wives.
Done. Everyone has that cadence. It's like, hide your kids, hide the wife. The internet stays with you forever. What's your Roman Empire?
As we were earlier, it was like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
I'm tired of this shit, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad. You keep digging. Me. All right, guys. So we'll wrap it up. We'll see you later.
Bye.